Well, hello and welcome to episode 169 of Drink the Movies. I'm Brian here, as always, with Michaela. And Michaela, last week we talked about a film from 1968. It involved Charlton Heston crash landing on an alien planet. Turns out that he had just made it back home, but things were a mess. Fast forward quite a few years to 2011, and we're going to reboot this Planet of the Apes franchise. We're going to get Rise of the Planet of the Ape, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, War for the Planet of the Apes. And then just a few years back, they announced that we are going to get some more Planet of the Apes, and we just saw it last night. So tonight, we're talking about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. How are you doing, Michaela? And are you looking forward to the next installment? And I guess this isn't Caesar's story anymore, but our next Planet of the Apes.
Yes, I'm really excited. So we talked about this on episode 168, which is interesting because it was 1968 when it came out.
Hmm.
The original Planet of the Apes spawned a whole bunch of sequels in the 70s. It spawned a series that happened, like it did all that. And then they decided to reboot it, and then they decided to reboot it again. And what I love about this idea, this story, is that there's so many rabbit holes to go down and we have so few details from this amazing movie that came out in 1968, the original Planet of the Apes, that, how did they get there? What happened? Because there's like a 3,000 year difference between when George Taylor leaves Earth and comes back to apparently Earth. Spoiler warning, it was Earth the whole time. So, what happens in those 3,000 years where humans are now basically considered, I don't know, at the bottom of the food chain? They're not even in the original, they're not even used as like slaves. They're just like these things that get corralled like cattle, sort of. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's all these different ideas and the different kind of tropes around what does it mean from a racial status? What does it mean from a caste system? Because you had all these different kind of ideas of what makes a smart ape versus not a smart ape and all of that. And so I'm really excited that they decided they were going to do yet another trilogy, because we only got like the dawning, the very beginning of how did humans end up becoming, fodder for the apes. How did apes kind of escalate and get to be where they're talking and riding horses and all of that? And so I was really excited. I was not nearly as excited as you, because you grew up watching Planet of the Apes and I did not. I was basically an adult the first time I saw any of that. So I was having an adult excitation to it reaction,
Yep.
excited reaction
Okay.
to it, versus you were like giddy. I remember
Oh,
when
yeah.
we saw the preview, you were like, this is going to be so good. I can't wait. This is amazing. I'm so excited. So
It,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. It is going to be good. I was very excited, and we saw it last night. So we were coming off of this fresh, and we're ready to talk about it. But before we do that, Michaela, you mentioned rabbit holes. So we're going to have to go down one of those if we want to come up with this week's cocktail. It's coming from the dead rabbit. So let's do this, Michaela. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back to whip up this week's drink.
So Brian, as we all know here at Drink the Movies, I get the funnest parts of the job. I think they're the funnest parts of the job, where I get to pick the movies and I get to pick the cocktails for the most part. Now this week, you had said you were super excited about this, so we put it on the calendar. I wanted to find a cocktail that used banana, obviously, because we're talking about apes and apes like bananas. It's kind of a
Yep.
thing. And you had found this really amazing liqueur. You were like, Gifford's Banana de Brazil. It's really good. And turns out the cocktail that I found is called the Psycho Killer, which is not inappropriate after seeing the film, because there's a lot of
That's true.
psycho killers. They happen to be apes, but yeah, there's one in particular that we're going to talk about. But this cocktail was created by Jillian Vose of New York City's Dead Rabbit. It's on liquor.com. You can find it there. But I think we should take a drink the travel drink the travel excursion to New York City and go visit the Dead Rabbit just to have another one of these, because this drink is amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely. A couple of things here, Michaela. I will say that picking cocktails is probably more fun than maintaining the website. So that's true. That's true. Jillian Vose, yeah, was the original bartender. I guess at the at New York City's The Dead Rabbit, which has been voted as the best bar in the world a couple of times. It's an Irish pub. We definitely need to go there and check that out. But unfortunately, Jillian is no longer there. So Jillian and her business partner Sean Muldoon, who also was a part of the Dead Rabbit family, left there in 2022. But I have good news, Michaela. They're opening
Yeah.
an Irish pub, bar, restaurant. It's called Hazel and Apple in Charleston, South Carolina, which is pretty close to us. So if we can't swing the New York City trip, we can definitely take the 3.5 hour drive to Charleston and pay that a visit when it opens, hopefully later this year. So I'm definitely looking forward to that, and I'm definitely looking forward to mixing up another one of these cocktails. So let's get this going, Michaela. So there's quite a few ingredients in this, and you look at the list of them and you say, that doesn't sound like that's going to go together at all. I don't know how that's going to be. I'm sure that's probably what you thought when you saw this, other than seeing that it had some of the Gifford's Banana do Brazil. I don't know if either of us really had a good idea on what this was going to taste like. But first things first, Michaela, we need to get some cacao nib infused Campari. So basically, what you do is you take one bottle of Campari and you put in three tablespoons of cacao nibs into that. You let it sit for an hour and then you strain the cacao nibs out. Now this is really neat because cacao nibs are, chocolate. Obviously, they're chocolatey. That's how we get chocolate is using cacao nibs and ground cacao nib, which turns into cocoa powder. But it's not like sugary, right? It's just like the essence of the chocolate
Yeah.
here from the cacao nibs, and you get that in the Campari, and it makes like a it makes like almost like a velvety finish to the Campari, which is still
Yeah.
very bitter, but it has this decidedly like chocolate aroma and flavor to it without being, what you think of as like a Hershey bar. Obviously, it's not
Right.
sweet at all. It maintains that Campari bitterness, but it has this, I don't know, just delightful like
Yes.
cocoa-ness to it.
Yeah. Delightful cocoa-ness. Very good. Do you do this for a
Mm-hmm.
living? You should think about that.
I'm
You
a
should take
I'm
that
a
up.
food poet on the side as well.
You're a drinks poet. Yeah. Um, it's really good. It's not sweet, and it's also not sweet. But it's not sweet the way like Mexican chocolate. I mean, I think that's what I thought in the back of my head, that this was going to have this kind of mole-ish kind of
Okay. Hmm.
uh hue to it, and that is not it at all. It is just this, like you said, this velvety, delightful kind of umptiousness that adds to the already kind of tartness that is in the Campari. It's really special, and we got to find more. We got to find more cocktails with this for this cacao nib infused Campari, because now you have an entire bottle. Number one, and number two,
Hmm.
um, it's really good. And I
It's really good.
recommend people who want to be, masters of their own bar and have like interesting, fun things, do what Brian said to make this and use it. I would even use this in like not an Aperol spritz, because you use Aperol for that, but like
Yeah.
something like even a
Yeah, you can make like a
spritzer,
spritz
because
with
it's,
it. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, this would be amazing, because it's just got that hint of cocoa-ness that kind of coats your senses, but it's still very much Campari. It's
Hmm.
really neat.
Yeah, it's really neat the way that it comes together. So definitely mix some of that up and then use it in place of anything you'd use Campari. And I'm going to be making some Negronis with it for sure. And I'll report back maybe in a lobby bar what else I've come up with here for this cacao nib infused Campari. So let's go ahead and throw one of these cocktails together. Michaela, I made one for you and took it to the theater last night. So you're actually sipping it right now so you can give us some live reactions to it. But into like a shaker tin or a mixing glass, go ahead and put in 2 ounces of Redbreast 12-year Irish whiskey. That's what it calls for. That's what they use at the Dead Rabbit. If you don't have that or don't want to spend the money on it, you could use, a Jameson, Tullamore Dew, any kind of Irish whiskey that you want. But I think that it being an Irish whiskey is important because it has a little bit more kind of honey notes to it. It has a little bit more like sweeter, like characteristics, vanilla, stuff like that, as opposed to like a bourbon, which is harsher. So you need 2 ounces of your Irish whiskey, 3/4 of an ounce of that infused Campari, a half ounce of white creme de cacao. That's the clear one there. A half ounce of the Gifford Banana do Brazil. And then it's calling for 2 dashes of absinthe. I keep my absinthe in like a little misting bottle, like a little mister sprayer thing. So I just did two mists of that into the the shaker tin. Go ahead and stir that with ice and then strain it into like a coupe glass or a Nick and Nora glass. Sip and enjoy. Um, Michaela, I'll tell you about kind of my experience with it, and then I want to hear what you have to say since you're drinking it right now. But kind of on the nose, you get a little bit of licorice from the anise. They're not too strong because it has some sweetness kind of lying underneath of it, but a little bit of anise to it. Then you take a sip, and then it's like a journey. For me, like the cocoa, like the creme de cacao and the cacao nib bit starts coming in, and you get like this wash of like chocolate in your mouth. But as soon as it starts to get sweet, the bitterness of that Campari kicks in, and then it's finished off with that Irish whiskey sort of backbone to it. Um, this tasted like something I would go to a very fancy bar like the Dead Rabbit and pay like $35 for one of these cocktails. It definitely is like elevated above like a homemade cocktail that I would normally have in my house. It felt very fancy, very expensive tasting, and really good, really strange, and really good.
Yeah. What Brian said, everybody. I yeah, it's good that you went first because I'd just be like, it's real good. It's just, it tastes great. Try it. It's weird. Look, you talk about this journey, right? And I think that it's really interesting because it's called Psycho Killer. I don't know necessarily why they chose that name because
Mhm.
this is definitely a journey. It starts off being feeling and tasting like something totally different than what it ends up being. I don't get too much banana flavor out of it. I get a little bit, just a hint, just like the flutter of banana, which I
Mhm.
like because I was real worried when I saw these ingredients that this was going to be real sweet and banana-y, and it's not. Also, absinthe. If you don't like star anise or anise, however you say it, don't be afraid of this one because you don't really get that. It's just super light. It's on the nose only. You don't get that kind of burny. At least I didn't like in the back of your
Mhm.
throat with that almost like a tanniny thing that absinthe does. For me, I didn't get that at all. It's just really strange. And talking about the fanciness of this is a beautiful cocktail. It is like a dark, kind of a burnt sienna color. Like it's really
Mhm.
pretty. It looks super fancy. I feel like a complete grown up when I'm drinking this. Jillian Vose is a genius. I don't know where she came up with this. Or
Yep.
they. I don't know where they came up with this, but this is amazing.
Mhm.
It is absolutely amazing. I really think people go get the cacao nib infused Campari. Make that happen. And I think you're right with the Irish whiskey. Don't do something super high proof on this because it's already pretty boozy.
Mhm.
One of these will do you right, especially if you've not eaten. Please drink responsibly. But I think
Yes.
if you were to do something like super heavy, it might ruin it because it's still very delicate, even though it's got all this ingredients to it. Like the
Mhm.
layers are there, and I feel like it would be muddled a bit if you did something that was super high proof for like a bourbon.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely playing on that balance, and I feel like the balance would be really easy to throw off whack there if you use something different or tried to stray from this too much. So definitely, if you have these ingredients, give this a try for sure. 10 out of 10. This is a really good one, and you can go to the websites and look for pictures of ours. We'll have links to the recipe and to the Dead Rabbit and also to Hazel and Apple there. So we'll keep an eye on that, and hopefully we'll be down there to pay Jillian a visit and compliment her bartending skills there. So let's do this, Michaela. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna whip one up. You're having one right now. I need my own. So let's do this. I'm gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna go make us up Psycho Killer, and then we're gonna be right back to chat about this week's film, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Are you familiar with the concept of evolution?
Spoiler warning for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. If you've not yet seen this, you've had 3 weeks to do it. So, get on it. But honestly, if you've not seen it, we're going to talk about all the things. We're going to talk about the ending for sure. I don't know if this one has as big of a spoiler as the original Planet of the Apes, but it's got some things to talk about. So if you don't want to hear that, then I suggest you press pause. You go make some cacao infused Campari and make that Psycho Killer drink because it is beautiful. Uh, Go to a movie, sit in the theater in the dark, watch Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and then come back and hear us chat about it.
That's right, absolutely. So As you mentioned, Michaela, this was just released. It came out on May the 10th, 2024, and it was directed by Wes Ball, who is probably most known for directing the Maze Runner trilogy of films. He's also, I guess, doing this upcoming Legend of Zelda show or movie, whatever that's going to be. So that's going to be good. I have to keep an eye out for that. And this one's starring Owen Teague as Noah, the chimpanzee who we'll be going with on our journey here. Peter McCone as Raka, the orangutan and true believer of Caesar. Kevin Durand as Proximus Caesar, the ruler and enslaver of all the tribes of apes, who is trying to bring upon the age of enlightenment through force, not through knowledge gaining. Just rip that wall down. And we've got Nova, a talking girl, here being played by Freya Allen. So Michaela, this is the follow-up to the Caesar trilogy, started in 2011 with Rise of the Planet of the Apes, 2014, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, 2017 for War of the Planet of the Apes. And everyone we kind of thought that was the end of the trilogy there, but I guess Disney acquires 20th Century Fox and says, "Now we're gonna do a couple more of these." So they have one, and then it's been kind of speculated on, and then basically confirmed that there's going to be another trilogy of these films, which is pretty good, pretty good. And people seem to be pretty keen on this. It's up to about $250 million already, 240 million as of recording worldwide. So good job there. But this is like the 10th. Planet of the Apes film. So we talked a little bit about that last week, Michaela, that Planet of the Apes, this plucky little sci-fi film from 1968, went on to spawn, as big of like a film IP franchise as there is.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know. I don't know what your expectations were going into this. It's definitely true that the last three, Rise, Dawn, and War, of the Planet of the Apes, those were much grittier in my mind, much more into the details about how these things happened, came to be, and really took those kind of thoughts and ideas and questions that the first film and the first story kind of touched and took them much more deeper into kind of more adult territory. This was no different. I feel like this tells the story of kind of a young ape and his two best friends, and what they live in this village. You don't exactly know where it is. You come to an idea sort of towards the end of the film, but they live in this village. They have elders. They're not talking about Caesar at all. They're just kind of living their lives. They've got these sort of religious coming of age ceremonies that are supposed to be happening, and they're great climbers. And you see these amazing, like the shot really opens with this amazing epic view of like a very old looking tower that is now completely overgrown with vegetation, and they're climbing up to these birds' nests, and they're going to take this egg. They always leave one, but they take it like an eagle's egg because their clan or their tribe grows eagles, or I don't know what they have them as pets, but they're like bonded to them for life.
Yeah, they rear eagles. Yeah,
they rear them. That's the
falconers,
word.
I guess.
They're falconers,
Was what that's called. Yeah.
It's so cool. And I love the art direction that this show sets up, because it definitely looks different. We can definitely see that time has passed. This is many generations after the third one. And so this is long since Caesar's death. You don't know how long it is, but it's a much longer period of time. And you see that in all of the set around them. There's a lot more vegetation. There's a lot. I mean, we don't see highways anymore. We see all these, you see these train tracks that are completely overgrown. You see some remnants of like brick buildings and stuff. But for the most part, I mean, it is not the world that, is post-apocalyptic anymore. It doesn't even look that way. It's just really beautiful. And you got these sweeping movements of camera when they're up in kind of the nests of the birds and looking down amongst its valley. It's quite gorgeous.
Yeah, it is gorgeous there. And Noah's climbing with his friends here, Anaya and Suna, as you mentioned, to go get one of these eggs kind of at the beginning. I love kind of the way they designed, I guess, this kind of overgrown Earth, whatever city they happen to be in or close to there that they're climbing up. It looked very much like The Last of Us, kind of set decoration and stuff looks the way that it was overgrown and done, and it kind of looked like within their own village that had been kind of built up on top of. You never really got like a good look because it was all covered up, but to me it looked like they were kind of like those big like electrical towers that they'd kind of built on top of and built their kind of homes and the platforms up there where all the elders and stuff were. So we get to learn a little bit about Noah there. He seems like an up and comer here, kind of judged harshly by his father, who is I guess the head falconer, head kind of in charge of talking to these birds and getting the taking care of the eagles and going through the ceremony. And it's very much of like a coming of age for Noah when we start to run into some trouble right away, right? So we get the little girl kind of is scampering through camp and ends up scaring Noah, breaks his egg, which is just heartbreaking. Michaela, you let out an audible gasp when the egg was broken. That was no good. That was no good. And then some more bad news is going to happen because Noah has to go out to replace his egg, of course, right? Doesn't want to disappoint his father, doesn't want to have to wait another year before he can, I guess, graduate into like adulthood, sort of responsibilities within the tribe. But he stumbles across another gang of apes there, some gorillas there, some other apes, and they seem to be doing a bit of a roundup. They've got some weapons that we've never seen before here for the apes, and they're there. They end up chasing Noah back to his village, and things are going to go bad for Noah's clan.
Yeah, it's really tough. He runs back as fast as they can because they end up following his horse. They separate him from his horse, and the horse, horses do that. They go home, and so when they get scared, so he knows that he has to get there, and when he gets there, it's complete terrifying pandemonium. Everything's on fire. He's trying to find his two best friends. He's trying to find his mother. He's trying to find his father. His father is up in this kind of hutch area where they've kept all of the falcons, and he's like, we got to let them all go and we got to free them all. And so he's working to do that, but this big gorilla who's got this weird, not weird, but like this very like medieval chain kind of thing around his neck, and he's like, we're taking the village, rah. And then he's like, hail Caesar, which is really upsetting to me because I'm like, wait a minute, Caesar would not have wanted this. I think rule number one, according to Caesar, was apes don't kill other apes, dude. What are you doing? And so
Yeah.
sounds a bit like something else that we'll talk about, I guess. But I was incredulously angry. I was like, what is going on? Why are they doing this? And then I was totally dismayed because that big ape, it was kind of like a West Lowlands gorilla versus the chimpanzees. And so he's this bigger, he looks like he's stronger. He ends up fighting with Noah's father. Noah's father tries to protect Noah. His father's killed. Noah's kind of thrown from this giant perch, hutch area. You think for sure he's dead, but he ends up being okay. He's injured, but he wakes up just to see the devastation around him of his whole village being completely burned to the ground. And that's how it starts. That's within like the first 15 minutes. And it's real sad. I have to say, after War of the Planet of the Apes, which is also very depressing and sad and emotive, this was no different.
Yeah, none of these have really ended on that bright of a spot. I will say this was maybe the most positive ending. We'll talk about that when we get our way through here. But yeah, Noah is left for dead. He wakes up. The village is like burned to the ground. Everyone is gone. So he knows this. These followers of this quote unquote Caesar has taken them off to wherever they're going. So he's wandering around. He finds his dead father there, which is really sad. He buries him and then basically says that he's going to get them back. So he is off on his journey to go find his clan and set them free. So along the way, though, it's going to run into a couple of new characters here. So as we're going, Noah falls through the ground into I don't know, is into like a subway or something like that. But we're introduced to our first character here, Raka, who is an orangutan, played by Peter McCone, and Raka is a believer of the actual Caesar, the Caesar that we knew, right? The one that grew up with humans and united all of the apes, and got those rules together, right? Apes stronger together, and ape not kill ape. Those rules. That was the Caesar. That was the Caesar we know and love, and that is the Caesar that Raka knows and loves. So when Caesar comes across Noah, uh, I really love Raka here as like this true believer, right? He's very much of like a prophet for Noah in this almost like biblical quest that we're going on here in this story. And one of the founding principles, from Caesar that we took away from the kind of original trilogy of films was that Caesar had a bit of a soft spot for humans. Growing up with them, believed that there was the possibility that they could live together, unite together, work together. So when we come across this little girl, we're going to name her Nova because that's apparently what apes do, and she's going to join us on our quest. What do you think about Raka here in this one? Was Raka the best ape of the new apes? Maybe
He
I don't
was
know.
he was the
He was
best
pretty
ape.
good.
I
He was
mean,
pretty
he
good.
was amazing. First of
Noah's
all,
pretty
he
good. I like
looks
Noah too. I like Noah too.
Noah's amazing too,
Noah's good.
but he looks amazing. We talked about how the Bornean orangutans that so Maurice was in the first trilogy and he was amazing. He looked so real. The Raka's character looks amazing. His eyes are so just full of emotion and I mean, it is a feat of special effects that I mean I never would have thought. You really think you're looking at an ape.
Mhm.
This is not a cartoon. It's not, I don't know how to really explain it. It's amazing. And Raka has this really richness in Peter McCone's voice is just perfect. I love it so much because when he says something, he really means it. He's trying to explain who Caesar is because, of course, Noah's like, the Caesar guy's, horrible. Like he just decimated my whole village. I hate Caesar, whoever he is. And he's like, no, that's not the real Caesar. Shame on him. And it
Mhm.
felt like we were talking to a person about spirituality and they're talking about Caesar, but I really think they were talking about something else, Brian. I think that, just because people are using this person or this being's name, they're not necessarily following the actual teachings, which I found really interesting as something to think about. I love the backshadowing of Caesar's bedroom window is now this sign of Caesar and this sign of
Mhm.
peace and hope and love that Rocco wears around his neck. And it's like this idea that this set of ideals that we live with, much like a crucifix or a Star of David or something like that, where it's like this is an order of Caesar and these are the things the tenets that I believe because I follow Caesar. So I thought that was really interesting. I found the meeting of the little girl to be really the beginning of Noah's sort of paradigm shift, right? Because he
Mhm.
didn't even call them humans. He didn't know what they were. His clan didn't follow Caesar. They'd never heard of Caesar, which I find really interesting because, again, at the end of the trilogy, we thought that Planet of the Apes started with a group of apes that came out of San Francisco. This is not San Francisco. You definitely know that much going into it. You don't know where it is. But they had never heard of that. So they didn't, this clan grew up without that. So, it makes you think that maybe there are these little villages and tribes of apes all over the world that have kind of risen up for whatever reason over the course of the last few hundred years, and what were their ideals and what their lives were. And it really just opens up an entire door to possibilities of what we can get in the future, which made me really excited.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of opening doors, Nova's going to talk here, but yeah, it definitely changes the paradigm of Noah, right? Is always viewed humans obviously as just kind of this these beings that live around. They scavenge. I think he says they scavenge. I forget what he called them. They're like uh I keep wanting to say shadows, but that's not what they called them. I don't think. But
Echoes.
echoes, that's right. Yeah, echoes. I guess just like echoes in the night or something like that. But yeah, you'll see that, and Raka, is very encouraging of that, of being accepting and things like that. So it gives Nova his blankets and things like that, and she's going to accompany them, and eventually is going to call out. We learn that she speaks there when she calls for Noah to come help because we get another kind of hunting scene here where the apes are hunting down this human tribe as we stumble across. There's an amazing scene as our two apes are coming across, and they run across a striped horse, which is really gorgeous. I don't know if those are real zebras. I don't know if any of this is real, Michaela, because it's all real breathtakingly beautiful. But there's this herd of zebras, and all of these humans come in, and Nova's going to go back and join them, right? Noah says, okay, she's back with her people. That's good. But the other apes, the bad apes, they come in and start hunting them just like they do in the original one. And this is the most amazing part of the whole movie because Joe Pesano is doing the score for this. Also has done the score for a bunch of other things, the Maze Runner trilogy there most notably, but incorporated that original score from the original movie, and it's like note for note on the hunting. There's some of the scenes and the imagery of like the top down stuff is the same. It's such a great homage to that first kind of hunting scene there, but they get on their way. What did you pick up on the music? I'm sure you did.
Oh yeah. Oh, I did. I did. I loved that scene so much. It made my heart so happy because again, this is a totally different group of characters. It's made by a totally different group of people. This was 60 years later, and they could have taken it and run with it, as it were. But I love that they tipped their hat in such a beautiful way because it is still terrifying. I mean, looking at it and we just saw the old one a week ago, right? This was so well done, and I loved the score. I think the score did a really good job of, in certain areas, almost with the beating of the drums and keeping some of that the same, very similar, but also taking it a step further in some of the later scenes when things are quieter and they're having more of a thoughtful discussion. I really loved the way it kind of twists and turns with this newness and oldness, and as the evolution of these apes are also taking twists and turns, right? Some people get more power hungry, some are much more just interested in going home. Then we've got humans that are still trying to like exist or reclaim their
Still
quote
trying to
unquote
do
rightful
human
place on the
stuff.
planet, right?
Yeah.
No, but this scene was amazing, and I loved that we learned that Nova can talk, but then it gets a little tough because not only can she talk, she can like really talk. She's not like saying one or two words. She can speak full sentences. She says that she had a name. Her name is May. And she is kind of cagey about where she came from and her clan. They ask her, and she's like, "I'm the last one." And so you don't really know. What I found real interesting, and I don't know if you picked up on this, but in the scene, right before all this kind of comes out, she's with the other clan of humans that all cannot talk, right? And she's the only one in like pants. Now her pants are torn. They don't look great. They don't look like they're in great shape, but they are pants. This was, hundreds and hundreds of years after Earth kind of fell to the wayside, right?
Right.
There's this toxic wasteland, and she's wearing what look like work pants to me. And I was like, wonder where she came from, because she's not wearing scraps. She's wearing like a tattered shirt and some tattered pants, but they were definitely clothing that came from somewhere, versus all of the other ones are in like loincloths or like strategically placed like bits of fabric.
Right. Yep.
And I was like, that's interesting. I wonder if, I immediately was like, was she on a ship that landed? Is that where we're going?
Is that
I
where we're
didn't
going
know.
with this? Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Nova, as it turns out, her name is actually May. And we get a little campfire scene there of them talking. And May's kind of giving them some info, right? She's on her way to go to this other place. It's this camp, I guess, that she thinks where some of her other people are being held, people like her that can also speak. So maybe this more advanced group of humans at this place. So that sounds pretty good to Noah and Raka. So they're going to go along with that and go with her. But unfortunately, we find out that May is not entirely truthful with us this entire time, because as they go, they're going to end up being captured by none other than Proximus Caesar, who's played by Kevin Durand. Proximus Caesar's troops kind of confront them on this bridge as we're going out into like an ocean, seaside sort of encampment there. The most heartbreaking bit of it already. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. Raka there is able to save May, but unfortunately gets swept away. We don't actually see Raka die, so maybe Raka is still with us. Maybe in future installments, that's possible. That's possible, but he's no longer going to be by our side in the story because bad news. Noah gets captured by Proximus Caesar's apes there. He gets taken into camp. I guess it's okay. He's reunited with his tribe, so I guess that's one mission accomplished that you found your people. But you're under the rule of this ape that is just I don't know. He's let the power go to his head a little bit, and he's trying to learn some things.
Yeah, yeah. So it's interesting. There's this whole conversation that Proximus Caesar has with Noah talking about evolution, right? And he's like, hey, I basically, he's like, I'm really lazy and I would like to evolve without having to wait hundreds of thousands of years. There's this encampment, and we should talk about the set direction for this because this is pretty incredible. They're on this hillside, this cliff, where the ocean used to come right up to this cliff. There's a door. It's a really big door. It's probably 25 feet by like 35 feet. I mean, it's a big double door made out of some metal that's created this cave. And around that, it would normally be ocean water, but they have created like this dam in front of it where they can work, and the apes that have been captured, no matter what tribe they're from, they're all supposed to help bring down this double doors, right? They've got explosive because apparently they know how to do that now. They've got chains, they've got all these things that they're pulling, and every day Proximus Caesar comes out and he's like, what a beautiful day. Today's gonna be the day that we take down the wall, and we're building the wall to the ocean, but we're taking down this wall. And he's like, it's gonna be amazing, hail Caesar. And all the tribe people are like, who the heck is this guy? But they're terrified, so they do what he says. Well, we don't really know at the time. I had no idea why this was happening. And then Proximus Caesar had this conversation with Noah, and he says, look, there's a whole bunch of technology and stuff behind that door, and I want all of it. And I don't want to wait for it. I don't want to wait for my, grandkids to get that knowledge on their own. I want to take it and run. And Noah's like, well, that can't be good. But May, who we now call May because she's not Nova, she knows exactly what he's talking about, which I find, again, very suspicious.
Yeah, May is incredibly suspicious. I want to talk a little bit more about the set design right here, Michaela. You mentioned kind of this big door that they attempt to blow up and fail, and a bunch of apes fall in debris and stuff like that. And I think Proximus Caesar is like, okay, well, tomorrow will be a great day. We'll just do this all again.
What a wonderful day! What a wonderful day! Are we thankful for the words of Caesar? We are thankful. Do we bend our heads? We bend. Say his words. Say his words! What a wonderful day!
Today is a great day. It didn't work. Tomorrow will be a great day. We'll try it again. It doesn't matter how many people have to die. But I want to talk a little bit about the set design here because you mentioned the door. It's on this beach, and they've built up a wall. But there's also like this crashed like cruise ship that is up against the wall, and then they've built this thing around it. It's all rusted out, and this thing, you have the waves just crashing into it. I don't know if that's real waves. I don't know if they actually built that. I don't know if that was all computer. It looks ridiculous. It's so amazing. But yeah, May's totally lied to us, right? She already lied and said they were going to people camp, like a human camp, to go find her people. That's not true. She took us to this place. It's not where humans are at all. It's this place where Proximus Caesar is. And now she apparently knows what's inside of this vault. She says to Noah, they have a little bit of a secret meeting, and May says, you know what? If I can go in there, I can cure all the people. That'll be good, right? There's a book in there that'll help me do that. And Noah said, you can do all that with a book. And she says, yeah, special book. And Noah says, Okay. Noah's pretty trusting, and I don't know if that's because of his time he spent with Raka, trying to adopt, the actual Caesar's kind of teachings there, if he's, just hopeful for a brighter future. But Proximus Caesar has not been able to get in there. But May thinks she might know a way in, but it's going to require a little bit of help. We meet another character played by William H. Macy. Didn't really do much for me in the movie, to be honest. I really like William H. Macy. He's playing a character by the name of Trevathan, who's another human that can speak, who is there basically just as the not even like an interpreter. He's almost like a court jester, I guess, character, more or less, just like the entertainment for this Proximus Caesar. And it's kind of neat, I guess, in a way, because he's teaching him this like human history that is now being repeated by this Proximus Caesar character.
Right. Yeah, I found the meeting between Trevathian, I think that's his name, or
Mhm.
Trevathan,
Yeah.
and May to be really interesting because he asks her, hey, I mean, they both can talk, which I think, given the fact that in the last film, we found out that no one is able to talk now. Like the disease, the simian flu has now like uh, mutated to where not only does it make like the apes really smart and kills humans, it might not kill you, but now it makes you like mute and it dulls your senses, so you're not as intelligent and all of that. So they're both seemed really fine, and they're not like, oh my gosh, you're fine too, this is amazing. They both kind of have this weird unspoken thing where he says, hey, where are you from? And she's like, and he's like, it doesn't matter. I broke my ankles and they helped me, and now I teach them history. And he's sitting in this place that looks real strange for not having humans around for 300 years. It's got like bookshelves and it's very like 1977 chic. There's like green leather couches.
Mhm.
There's blankets. It's really cozy. And he's like, yeah, I'll get you some new clothes. He just gets her a new shirt. She's still wearing these tattered pants, which I think is a tell right there. He's like, I'll get you some new clothes. You can take a shower. You'll feel better. And you should stay here because it's better here. Like it's going to be fine. You get the spoils of this life, right?
Mhm.
And all you have to do is like put up with the fact that the apes are trying to kill all the other humans. It's totally fine. But May won't do that. She does have that conversation with Noah. And Noah, I love the reuniting scene between Noah and Suna and Anaya, and then Noah's mom. They're all there together. And, these are the best friends you could really ask for, because at the
Mhm.
beginning of the film, when Noah breaks his egg, they're like, oh no, we'll just wait for you. It's fine. Even before that, when they only find two eggs, Anaya, who's very selfish and very fearful, he's like, I'm taking it. I'm taking it. And so Suna gets hers and Anaya gets his, and Noah can't find an egg. And Suna is like, I'll just wait for you. It's fine. I mean, it's really a beautiful testament to their friendship, even when things get scary. But they decide, or they're all going to kind of band together to help May. But of course, Anaya gets scared. And I really love that they kept that scene.
Mhm.
Not because it's great when he comes to his senses and comes to help his friends, because that is a great moment, but because we love to, as a society watching films, we love to be like, oh, don't be so scared. Like we love to make that into like a villainous trait, when I think it's people and apes behave very differently when they're succumb to fear, right?
Mhm.
And that is a very real thing. Anaya was like, I'm not the climber that Noah is. We're going to get caught, and when we are, it's really going to be bad. I mean, Trevathan says it to May. He's like, they're going to skin your friend alive. I mean, it's not going to be pretty when it ends, and it will end.
And yeah, it
And
will end. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's that scene. It's very touching. There is Anaya, confesses of being scared and then comes back because you don't immediately recognize it as Anaya when they're confronted there. So we've got a bit of a plan in motion. May has one at least. We're going to set up some explosives on that dam that's going to let the ocean waters rush in to destroy what's inside of this cave. That sounds pretty good. That sounds good to Noah. Noah's kind of on board that. there's probably bad technology in there. Apes don't need it. Humans didn't need it. Look what it did to them. So we're going to do that. And May thinks she knows the way in. I really like they kind of go along the backside of this mountain. The ocean spray is coming up and crashing into them. It looks so good. So everything about this looks so good. They're going and they end up climbing up to the top. This was a little bit of a weak point of the plot to me. The Proximus Caesar didn't have people just like scouring like every inch of this mountain looking for another way into this thing. But that's okay. That's okay. There is an access in the top, so May and the three apes go in and they're looking around, and a couple of things happen. Right, May gets her quote unquote book, which is really just this data disk that we're going to find out later is what's going to unlock the satellite array for some people. Spoiler there for the end. But the apes come across a couple of things too, right? They come across like a weapons locker, which they don't seem like they've ever seen before. So, apes, I guess, didn't carry that over, or didn't know how to, make weapons and things. We saw them have those in the first kind of trilogy of films, but that has been lost now as we're getting into the Dark Ages here. And also, the apes come across this book, which is really kind of an interesting scene as our apes are flipping through it. And it's basically like a children's book of there's one of the ABCs, and Noah says all these, symbols mean something, which is pretty neat. So I guess that's going to get us on our way of apes learning how to read, something else that they could do in the
Mhm.
first three films. And then also that these, children and adults were going to the zoo and they see, humans at the zoo looking at apes in these cages. So a couple of things to take away from inside of this mountain.
Yeah, for sure. And I love that they find a doll that is plastic, that when you pick it up and you touch it, it goes, "Ooh," and it's
Yeah.
just like the doll in the 1968 Planet of the Apes. And so that
Hmm.
immediately
Hmm.
got me thinking, because Planet of the Apes, right? The original one, Cornelius is like, I did this excavation in a cave. And I'm like, oh, this is the kid.
In a cave on a
And
mountain.
I
Yeah.
don't know if that actually is going to be a thing because of what happens next, but I was like, that would be so cool. That would be amazing. But it's like, this is the doll because it looks kind of similar. I don't know. I was very excited to see that. But what they end up doing is they get down to kind of like this base camp area in the center of the hollowed out mountain, and May says, "Hey, I think we need to open the door," and so she does. And they try and leave, but they're confronted by Proximus and the tribe, and then Proximus excited. He's super excited when the doors open, right? He's like a kid at Christmas. And that is where the psycho killer comes into effect, because I've never,
Mm-hmm.
he's so wide eyed and he's like, oh, this is amazing. And we see why, like, there are tanks and there are guns. And I mean, there's floors and floors and floors of this thing. It's so big and it's so massive. And there's tons of
Hmm.
stuff that we probably haven't even seen. And he's like, May, you can leave wherever you want. But you just need to tell me where all the guns are. You need to tell me where all the stuff is, and then you can go on your merry way. And she's like, absolutely not. And they've rigged the kind of the outer wall that is the dam with explosives. And so she rushes off to go do that. But I think it really becomes tough for me, because it's not just Proximo that's there. It's her friends, Noah and Suna and Anaya, that are there. And Proximo has brought the entire tribe to like watch the opening of the doors. And so the entire
Hmm.
tribe is on the other side of this dam. And if she explodes that dam, they could all drown, because the water's going to rush in and it's going to fill this entire bunker. And so I'm like, you're not going to do that, May. Surely you're not going to do that. And have told a bold-faced lie to Noah, telling him that he can get his clan home. And
Mm-hmm.
I was really just hoping that I was going to be wrong about that.
Yeah. May ends up blowing it up, despite the fact that all of the apes are going to die because, she doesn't want apes to get this technology, right? That would be bad. That's basically going to put the nail in the coffin, so to speak, of humans if apes are able to rediscover all of this technology and all of this learning. May does come to the aid though, right before, because she has taken a handgun for herself here from the mountain. So when I think it's Suna is grabbed by one of Proximus Caesar's apes there. She does fire off a shot into him. So that's good. But yeah, ends up blowing up the dam. Everyone just hold on to yourselves because that ocean's going to come in pretty hot and fast into this place. This is also unbelievable looking. They're underwater. Apparently, they're using the same special effects CG house that did Avatar: The Way of the Water for this. So that's why you get nominated for Best Picture for Avatar: Way of the Water because it creates entirely new ways of making a movie, and you get to do that because the underwater stuff with the apes looks absolutely incredible as they're trying to scamper their way up to the top of the mountain. And then we're going to get one kind of final confrontation here with Proximus Caesar. Luckily, all of the Eagle clan, I think that's what they were called there. They kept referring to themselves as Eagle clan there, get to the top of the mountain. But Proximus Caesar is going to kind of cut him off at the head, right? He also makes it up there to the top. There are a couple of things that happen, right, that I really liked kind of in Noah's stories. So there's one of like the top like henchman of Proximus Caesar, I guess is what you call him, or head of the I don't know, security force or whatever, is chasing Noah down through this, and he ends up drowning, right? Noah, I don't think probably could have saved him, but Noah isn't the one that actually kills him, right? Apes don't kill apes, right?
Mhm.
That's kind of one of the rules. So Noah doesn't actually kill him, and then it's very similar to Caesar and Koba
Mhm.
in the second film there, right? He just doesn't save Koba. He doesn't actually kill him. So that happens, and then with the top, we have our final confrontation with Proximus Caesar. So it's the Eagles that are going to come to the rescue, right? So we see Noah throughout this kind of tale, trying and failing, I guess, to sway this eagle who's just kind of following along with him. I think Noah even says, "Why must you mock me?" Through this, which really beautiful kind of stuff here. This interaction with the birds, but the eagles do kind of circle and swarm and are the ones that end up coming to the aid of the Eagle clan to take out Proximus Caesar. So there's twice now that Noah was able to keep his hands clean, I guess, of apes killing apes. So
Sure. Yeah. No, I loved that part. And again, the Eagles look amazing. I'm pretty sure they're not real, but they looked amazing. I mean,
they
it
look good.
makes Hedwig from Harry Potter look like a stuffed animal. I don't know how they did it with all the birds and the feathers and stuff, but man, eagles can be real mean, as we learn, like when at the beginning of the film, when Noah's trying to like tame or claim his father's bird that he had bonded with, right? And Noah can't bond with a bird yet because the one egg that he had like the day before got crushed, and so he's at least some significant time away from being able to do that. But in this scene, when he kind of calls to the bird and they start pounding their feet, and the whole tribe like calls to all of the eagles to come down, and they kind of come down and just kind of smite at Proximus Caesar, just like they swipe at him with their giant talons, and it looks real painful and real awful, and then they just like take him over the edge and he goes down, and I'm really scared looking at him that like one of them is gonna not like get out from under him or whatever, and they get because so many of them kind of just take him across. It's like the birds on crack. It's great. I mean, you're not sorry to see Proximus Caesar go, but it's so beautiful. Their wings and all the details around the feathers when they did that. I was in awe of that piece because the camera follows this journey down as he's falling, and there's still activity, and it's just really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. But yeah, Proximus Caesar falls plenty of feet to his alleged death, I guess. We'll see how that turns out, but plummets down into the ocean from the top of this mountain. And then yeah, the clan is free to go back and start rebuilding. So we get to see them there doing just that, rebuilding their home when May turns up, I guess, to say goodbye. Maybe also has a gun on her, just getting ready to shoot Noah, we think. You don't know for sure. I had a bad feeling when they showed that gun. I said,
oh yeah,
that looks real bad. That looks real bad. But Noah says to her, May says, we have to get this technology back because people should be in charge because that's the way that it was. And Noah says, yeah, I don't know if we can live peacefully. Is there any chance for that? I don't know. And then he gives her the necklace that he gotten from Raqqa there with that pendant, the symbol of Caesar there, which she takes and doesn't use the gun, which is good. So maybe part of this is going to be following along with her and how her ideas might change through this. But we do follow her then to this I don't know, bunker sort of thing. She gives that disc, and you see the satellites activate, and they're able to communicate with another band of humans that can also speak and stuff, I guess. So maybe we're gearing up for some extra war stuff there from the humans again, just like in the
Mm.
first trilogy. So, and that's kind of how it ends, right? Noah's clan is back and happy. Humans are, I guess, sort of getting their ducks in a row, so to speak, and we're gonna have to see what's next.
Yeah. So shout out to Diken Lachman, who's an Australian actress. She's at the very, very end. And she's in one of the human bunker, right? That May goes to and travels to and knocks on the door and says, basically, here's the thing. What I find interesting about this is the deceptiveness of humans is challenged by Caesar,
Mhm.
originally, right? Because he loved his dad, his owner, whatever you want to call him. And then DACA is like, look, for whatever reason, we should have a soft spot for them. We should try and figure this out. And so Noah does that for May. May is completely deceptive this entire time. She looks really innocent and sweet, but this whole time you realize that she has been trying to get to this place, to get this satellite decryption key, which she doesn't exactly lie to Noah because she's like, I need a book that's
Mhm.
capable of restoring speech. And what she really means is communications, not the act of speaking itself.
Mhm.
So I find that really tough because, as a human, you go into this whole story being on George Taylor's side, right? When he
Right.
lands on the planet, you're like, oh man, these apes, just tell them who you are and they should listen. And oh my gosh, and you're on there. And then by the end of this, I was totally on Noah's side. I was like, man, like this is ridiculous. I mean, and
Yeah.
her whole thinking is we were here first. And I find in this date and time, it's really interesting when we talk about the world as a place, and land to be something that is belonging of a group of people, because either they were there first, or they've been there longer, or they're the more dominant species. I find that thought hadn't really entered my mind until
Mhm.
that last exchange between May and Noah. And I'm really grateful for it because there's a lot that can be learned or can be questioned about, hey, what does that actually mean? And that's what Noah says. He's like, what does that mean? So we don't get to exist because you guys were here first. Like,
Right.
can't we figure this out somehow without having it be one or the other?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it raises a lot of those questions. And I don't know, coming out of the theater last night, I really, really enjoyed the movie. It's a franchise that I love. It looked great. I thought that the story was good. It's really well written. There were times last night, like watching the movie, which is a close to 2.5 hours long. It didn't really feel long, I didn't think, in any of the parts. It didn't really feel like it was dragging at all. But there were a couple of times in here I'm like, man, this dialogue is really good because what we're watching right now are just two CG apes just talking on this huge IMAX screen, right? Like that's wild that that's happening. But it's so totally believable. So I like that. But there was part of me coming out of the theater last night that wished that it had dove into a little bit more of like this Dark Ages, like coming out of the Dark Ages sort of thing, which is what Wes Ball's kind of described this film as like the Dark Ages like period of humanity placed onto this. I kind of wish that it had done that, but thinking back about it a little bit more and after kind of our conversation, I do really like that it is kind of not gotten into that quite so much. It's more of posing this kind of philosophical question that then maybe they can explore, the coming out of the Dark Ages throughout the next couple of films. And you do get a little bit of that, right? They go through the airport. I think it's LAX, so I guess they're still in California, I think is what the airport is. I thought that I'd read that somewhere. Um, so you have stuff like that, and then you have like the big one that people talk about is the telescope, right? The big observatory telescope, which
Hmm.
people are either on board with or not on board with because they don't show you what they're looking at in the observatory. Wes Ball said in a statement that whatever he would have put in the film that they were looking at would have been a disappointment to a lot of people because what they imagined that they were looking at was better. And I agree with Wes Ball. I don't think that we needed to see it, but any speculation? What do you think they were looking at out there, Michaela?
I think honestly, so it immediately reminded me of the one time there was a boy, Robert, wherever you are, I hope you're okay. But there was a boy who took me to my first planetarium, and I got to see Saturn or Venus,
Okay.
which is the one with the rings. Venus is
Saturn,
the one
yeah.
with the rings. Saturn? Okay. Um, I got to see Saturn and I cried. And I saw it was like a little tiny
Mm-hmm,
dot,
hmm.
right? But I could see the rings and I lost my mind. I became this ball of tears, as you can probably imagine. Um, it's so amazing. It doesn't really matter what they saw. They saw something that made them feel small, like they were a piece to a very big puzzle. Because that's basically why we continued to explore that stuff anyway, is
Hmm.
going back to that feeling. And so
Right.
I totally agree that no matter what they would be looking at, it wouldn't have done it justice. The look of wonder on Noah's face, the look of wonder on May's face, and then Suna's face because he takes her there is all about it. And it also makes you think like they're going to want to dive into the books. They're going to want to expand their minds and really progress their mindset because that tribe, remember, was not as advanced as some of the other tribes. They didn't know who Caesar was and they didn't follow his teaching and they didn't know about books and stuff. So I thought that was cool because that was a great doorway to be like, hey, now you can go and go forth in that kind of educational piece. And
Hmm.
whenever we pick back up, we're going to see that at least members of that tribe or descendants of that tribe further down the line from an evolution standpoint.
Yeah, for sure. I like that you mentioned Saturn there, Michaela, because that's kind of what I was thinking. Because they both look into it, and then when they're in the bunker there in the mountain, they go into one of the rooms, and it has like the planet like diorama thing, whatever those are
Mm-hmm.
called, where it's hanging up, and Noah kind of pokes at Saturn. So I wonder if he saw that and then took Suna back to look at that and be like, there were like 8 of these things hanging up, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so pretty cool stuff. So that is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. We kind of made our way through that pretty quick. We don't like to get too bogged down here when we're talking about a new release, in case you haven't had a chance to see it. But this was a good one, Michaela. Um, I don't really like to rank movies against each other, but I think that this was a really good start to what's to come next if we are in fact going to get a trilogy of films, and it seems like that's the way it was set up. Um, looking back at like the original Caesar trilogy, if you watch that first movie, like it kind of feels like they thought they were making like that one movie and that was going to be it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, oh, we'll do another one. And then when they did War of the Planet of the Apes, that kind of felt like an ending. Matt Reeves kind of went on record to say as much that he wanted to kind of wrap up the story, but leave it open because he thought that maybe it was something that could be revisited in the future. But it felt pretty conclusive there with the death of Caesar. Now we're kind of resurrecting Caesar as this holy figure for apes into this new trilogy, which I think is really good, and I'm really excited for what comes next. And I can't even believe how good these are going to look by the time we get the next 2 of these in like 10 years. How good is this? I don't know. It boggles my mind. It
I
boggles my
know.
mind.
It is mind-boggling, the technology, because even like 10 years ago when I don't know, was it the live version of Lion King? And I know these are not the same films at all. I get it. But like we laughed at, we were like, no, I don't know. I don't know about that. Okay, whatever. Or was it Jungle Book? It was a live version of Jungle Book. This is so much better. And it's not been that long. I don't know. If this doesn't get an Oscar nomination for a couple of things, I think it should get nominated for special effects, probably sound editing, because I thought that was really brilliant and really well
Mm,
done.
hmm, hmm.
It wouldn't surprise me if it got score. just because of the way, and I listened to the score all this morning, just to get a feel for it, and I bet I'm not an expert, but I bet that there were multiple pieces for me that sounded like it came from the original, that they kind of overlaid and interlaid with kind of the new sounds, and I think that that's really cool. I think that that's should be celebrated rather than thought of as like, hey, you didn't come up with it all yourself. I think that's really neat.
Mm-hmm.
As a way to pay homage to the older Planet of the Apes. But that would be my guess, because it's so beautiful. I mean, even if you're not a Planet of the Apes fan, you should watch it for the opening sequences alone. They're amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, they're unbelievably good looking. The first of this new trilogy had three nominations for best visual effects and did not win any of those three, which is kind of criminal. So I'm going to stick with that. If this one doesn't get it, come this February when we're talking about these, then that's probably going to be criminal too. So I don't know. That was Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I'm very excited. Thank you, Michaela, for letting me talk about Planet of the Apes for 2 weeks in a row. That was amazing. We had some cocktails last night at our Regal Theater. We might be talking about those on our Patreon hangout that we have coming up this week. Patreon is a really good way to support the podcast. We do extra bonus content, and we're doing our hangouts for our cocktail and red carpet clubs tomorrow. You can get more information on that on patreon.com/drinkthemovies. Let us know what you thought about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Where does it rank in your Planet of the Apes goodness? Are you a fan of this? Are you not? Let us know all that stuff, and let us know if you make a psycho killer. Please do, and please take a picture and send it to us. If you want to see pictures of ours, you can do that on our website. It's drinkthemovies.com. And if you want to follow along, see what we're getting up to, find out what we've got coming everyone's way, some extra bonus cocktail stuff, all that good stuff, you can find that on our social medias. It's at Drink the Movies on Instagram and X and Threads and Blue Sky and Facebook.com/drinkthemovies. That is the best way to find out what we've got going on. There's a link in there to all the things, including our shop, including our Discord server, all that stuff. So there's tons of Drink the Movies fun out there to be had by all. But the most Drink the Movies fun that we have, Michaela, is doing these chats, these deep dives on movies and our lobby bars. Where do people need to go to find those?
You can find us on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on Good Pods. Anywhere where Spotify podcasts are distributed and supported, we are there. So chances are you're hearing this on some sort of rectangle. I mean a phone when I say that. Look at it. There is a button. It says subscribe, or subscribe. Press it. And you'll get your 2 drops a week. And if that's not enough, you can share with your friends and tell them how amazing it is. We only get to do this because of our listening base. We are so grateful and knocked out that we get to do this together, talking about our favorite things, which are cocktails and movies, and music and traveling and all of the things with drinks. So thank you so much for your listening-ship. But if you would like, you can leave a 4-star or 5-star review. Don't leave a 4-star review. Leave a 5-star review. Tell all your friends, because it really helps us get all the Drink the Movie stuff out there.
Absolutely. So with that, Michaela, that is going to wrap up Planet of the Apes coverage for us here at Drink the Movies. We still have a busy summer of new releases and some classics that we're going to be talking about here over the next couple of months. So let's do this, Michaela. Let's go grab that bottle of that cacao nib infused Campari, mix up another, I don't know, a couple of no, just one more psycho killer. These things are potent. So let's do that. Let's mix one of those up, and we'll talk to everyone next time on
Drink
the
the
movies.
movies. It is important.
Ape stronger together.